Good evening, everybody. It's Kitario, and I'm back again with Christ and comic books. And today we are looking at continuing with our Deathnote series because we're in volume 6, and it's time to really get that party started. Now, of course, we left off last time with quote unquote Matsuda dying. Now, what do I mean by Matsuda dying was he had to fake his death because him and his idiotic wanting to be the guy that does something great for the team dude went and revealed himself to Yotsuba, trying to sneak into their facility, seeing if they were having a secret meeting. Granted, he actually got to hear them talking about what they were going to do with the Death Note, and their plans and the times for when they were meeting. So he got valuable information. It just wasn't recorded. Neither was there evidence to prove that they actually followed through with what they were saying they were going to do. But it was helpful. So for them to be able to make sure that Yotsuba wasn't going to be trying to track Matsuda, they had Matsuda fake his own death. And this even required, again, I found that really funny, it involved L having to get involved for the deception, and L doesn't like to put himself out there, so he had to put himself out there for something that was unnecessary, which was faking his death. And that's where we're at right now. And again, I just want to remind everybody, in this moment, Light does not remember all the things that he's done as Kira, and L, of course, is still suspecting Light. And with that being said, Light and L are handcuffed together. Now, getting into Volume 6, what we have taking place here is they are witnessing an actual meeting for them involved in Yotsuba. The reason for that is, recall, and I believe it was in part 1 of Volume 5, I will link that down in the description for you all. But remember, in that discussion, what took place was he brought in 2 new people to assist in their mission. One was a woman who was good at hacking. The other was another guy who's able to get people rallied behind him to believe the identity that he's portraying. So L is using him to portray one of L's 3 identities, which is one known as Coil. And so they hired Coil to play as someone that's going to identify L's identity so that they could kill him off with the Death Note. But again, he's just playing a role, so they don't know that it's actually not Coil, or in this case, truly L. The other person, of course, she set up all the devices after the infiltration by Matsuda to set it up in the correct office so that they could listen in and actually view this meeting that's taking place. So Matsuda did help in some way, right? Now, getting forward into this video, so with them listening into the meeting, they're hearing how they're planning on killing off some other big business leaders, how they're not able to do certain things when trying to plan out killing these certain leaders. Now, for Captain Yagami, for people like Matsuda, and even for Light, this is the moment to say, hey, we got what we need. We can go get them. L's like, no, we can't. This isn't enough. We need them to actually do it so that we can have sufficient evidence to really give them the punishment that's deserving, and we don't have that to operate on. We're only going off of assumptions and conversation. That's not enough to really give them the punishment deserving of actually having done the crimes that they've done. Now, here's the thing about it. L is thinking on 2 standpoints. L is thinking from the standpoint of, these guys, we don't have enough evidence to say that these were the ones that were doing the killings when all the killings started. When we're talking about Linda L. Taylor, when we're talking about the FBI investigators that were sent overseas investigating in Tokyo, so we don't have that evidence to direct it to Yotsuba. We don't have any of that. So we at least need to get them in the act of what they're trying to do, which is killing someone with the way that they're going to kill him. Which we know that to be the Death Note, which the Shinigami know that it's the Death Note. No one else knows it's the Death Note, though. So that's the thing that's making it very difficult, and L doesn't want to side with that. The other part with that is, L doesn't want to side with it because his assumptions and determination still links it to being, this has got to be Light. Everything is still pointing to Light as being the person that's doing it. All of the math for what's happening isn't adding up to completely solidify it as Yotsuba, so that's where he's still leaning on it being Light. Alright, so with that being said, that causes some dissension within the team. You know, Captain Yagami, Light, Matsuda, of course, is siding more so with L because he's not fully seeing the big picture, because he's really just kind of understanding L's side in things, which I think is very significant, to be the clueless one, to be the not as wise person, but yet willing. So that makes him more open and receptive to wisdom when it's being promoted. So Matsuda is really a valuable character. I didn't actually plan on harping on him this much, but that's what I see is working for him. So the next portion of that is this leads to L saying, okay, so this isn't working. If you guys want to pursue that, go ahead. But remember, you can't reveal anything to the police because Yotsuba's already bought off the police to keep themselves from getting involved. So the police aren't going to go in and make any arrests. This is going to be on you guys. And if you also remember from Volume 5, they are technically fired from being police officers in the NPA. They are only otherwise working for L. So L decides, I'm going to do this on my own then. But with the way that L is, Light can't go partner with his dad because they're handcuffed together. So L leaves the room, goes to do his own investigating his own way. Now, here he shows himself to be desperate, but not so desperate because he's not reckless. He is trying to think things through. So in him separating himself from everybody else, he takes Light with him to go speak with Misa. And then speaking with Misa, we have this moment where L is, like I said, playing desperately. He's asking her questions about her dedication to Kira versus her dedication to Light, and really kind of identifying the similarities and differences between the two. But in this moment, we see where Misa is more willing to side with Light if Light is willing to do whatever it takes to bring down Kira. So with them currently suspecting Yotsuba to be Kira, he is willing to use Misa, who has an in with them since the incident with Matsuda, to go forward and play her part, do a commercial with them, but by taking it a step further, by identifying that quote-unquote Coil has the information where she was brought in by the police, by being suspected of being a second Kira or having some relation to Kira. What that's going to do for Yotsuba is that's going to make them want to interrogate her and see what she knows so they can see if they can get close to her identity. The thing for Light in this moment is Light sees that as putting her life in danger, which Misa, the way she is, she's like, oh, you care about me? He's like, I mean, yeah, I care about you. Now, the sense of where Light's coming from is, you know, you're a human being, your life is valued, not because I genuinely have a personal relationship with you that makes me care for you at that extent, right? So it's not the same kind of love. And I think that's very important, so keep that in mind. It's not the same kind of love, whether it's coming from Kira when he was using her to where it's Light, to where he's trying to protect her. It's just a person-to-person value. It isn't an intrinsic value that he truly sees about her, that he recognizes about her as an individual. So, of course, we get into more of this questioning, and with Misa being so dedicated to Light and L's persuasive speaking, it's showing that, hey, if you do this, this will help to prove y'all's innocence. This will help to prove Light's innocence. In turn, with you helping prove that they're Kira, you're helping Light in bringing down Kira, which is what Light would like to do. She's like, okay, yeah, sure, I want to do that. She's like, I don't care to risk my life. I'd be willing to do this for you because I love you, Light. And you see that dedication there. So in this moment also, something that's extremely significant is you see a bond between L and Misa not fully sprouting, but being recognized. Because L expresses some level of care for her as well, which kind of opens her eyes to see, you know, that, oh, you see the value of me, seeing that I'm a great actress. You see that I am able to kind of play this part. You see a level of intellect about me. He identifies individual characteristics about me, so not in depth, just minimal. And she takes that to heart to see, oh, you see me too, but you are actually speaking to what you see. And she gives him a kiss on the cheek. And then L makes this hearty joke of, you know, I think I'm falling in love with you. She's like, no. But she at least did recognize it. L's not the pervert that she feared he was. With the way that he looks at her and with what he also knows about her, he's not as perverted as she thought. It was really that you just genuinely see me for a human being and my value as a human being. You see what makes me worthwhile, right? And that here's the significance there. I want to take a moment to pause and speak on that. Because the significance of something like this shows the difference of godlike love. Why do I see that? Because remember, in this story, we have L. He's a Christ-like figure. And from what I've identified thus far, Kira, or Light in this case, is trying to play as what people envision God should be, right? But the thing about what they don't catch in envisioning what God should be, or how a God should be, is that they're not catching how the true and living God values you as an individual and sees your purpose and sees your worth and sees your capabilities. So Light, in turn, whether he is operating as Kira or in his, you know, now innocent mindset, he still doesn't see the value of Misa as a woman, as the woman that she is. L, however, Christ-like, sees the value of who she is more in depth and more personally. And now she's seeing, oh, well, maybe, quote unquote, Jesus does see me for who I am. Elle sees me for who I am. And I think that's so significant because in this story, I think Misa really plays the role of humanity and also in some level of sense, the bride of Christ, and how that fallingness and what has drawn the people away from Christ is that picture of they did what I would have rathered, God do, versus doing what, the right thing to do in the right way and getting the proper results out of what you're doing. But again, in this moment, we see Misa seeing that value. So we get where Misa's going in and practicing with Koyo for what they're going to say in the midst of them going to do this commercial. So, of course, the guy playing as Koyo reveals the information to Yotsuba. Yotsuba wants to pull her in, make it seem like an interview for the commercial, but in all actuality to gather information and hopefully identify who Elle could be. So, and then going forward to do this mission, I want to focus on the actual conversation first. So, as they're playing it out, it almost seems as though the guy playing Koyo is like really digging into her, really asking deep questions, really challenging her to have been interrogated by them, and them wanting that truth. And from a business standpoint, not wanting their name dragged in the mud because she was arrested for being aligned with Kira. They don't want to bring their business down by doing that. That's how they portray it in that moment. And even Yotsuba's convinced, man, he's asking all these perfect questions, right? But at the same time, it shifts to where she's like, okay, I'm playing my part. I'm doing my role, but this is really tense. Like, she's in it. She's playing her role successfully. Even when the members of Yotsuba are asking their questions, she's successfully responding. So she's fulfilling her role in this by being able to get in so that they can get the information that they need. So, of course, they're sitting down and they're witnessing this and everything. But as the meeting goes forward, they put a pause on it and Misa goes to the restroom. Okay, so in this moment, two things happen. One of the things that happens is Remy shows up to reveal herself to Misa. And in revealing herself to Misa, she's trying to protect Misa, not necessarily reveal all of the memories again, because she can't get the memories back without touching the Death Note. But she is now in this fearful moment of, oh my gosh, what's this monster thing? She's got her hand over her mouth. I can feel the cold presence, but it doesn't seem like it's living. So she's like freaking out in this moment, but Remy's talking her down. Remy speaks to her and conveys how they know each other, on why they know each other, and what Remy is actually doing there. Now, Misa takes a moment to kind of process that, and she was extremely fearful, but because everything aligns with what's with what she's communicated to Misa, it all kind of makes sense. Even when Remy goes as far as to identify Light is actually Kira. But he did, of course, Death Note removed it, lost memory, same thing with you. So he now is, all of his pieces of his plans are going to play. Misa reveals a bit of that information to them for what they're doing, and it's just like, wow, Light really has, his plan is really coming together. And Remy is now valuing Kira a little bit more. And what I mean by Kira, I mean Light. Because having worked with one of the members of Yotsuba, she's seeing an eviler side to, the godlike worship. Now, here's the funny thing about that is with Remy seeing that, it also speaks to how between the different gods that people have worshipped over the centuries, over the millennia, it shows that one god can be better than the other. With other countries, there's a different deity for each one, and one can be worse than the other, at least as far as their representation or how they behave as far as their mindset. So, with that being said, Remy is doing all of this because the one that has the book, with what they found out from Koyo, wants to make it to where that Misa is the bride. So Misa will become his wife. What's so crazy about that is that everyone's banding for Misa's hand. You got the guy that got the Death Note in Yotsuba who wants her hand. You got Light, who of course is more so Misa than Light. And then you got Elle kind of fanning over her without actually pursuing her. He's not pushing for that, right? But he demonstrates a high level of care for her. Like we said, in a genuine way that she does. And it shows, no matter what religion it is, no matter whether it's Christ and the body of Christ and God wanting to seek humanity for that love. Other deities are going to seek that. But what is the intent of those other deities? What is the intent of those other religions? What will it lead to for you to go with them if you choose to follow them. That's what's the challenge that's being put forth in this moment. Several different belief systems are fanning for people to see it and to value it and to get behind it. Okay, so that's the truth of what's taking place here. Whether you believe in God or not, somebody is looking to, in some sense, I would say recruit. In other senses, establish a relationship with you. But is that relationship going to be healthy for you? Is that relationship going to be beneficial? So here's one of the things that happens in this moment. And I want to see it from Misa's standpoint, and I want to see it from the light standpoint. So what happens with Misa after this, Misa gets caught up in seeing now Kira is light. So it's almost like a dark essence stems from her. She's like, oh yes, that's perfect. I'm going to support Kira now. So she gets all riled up about getting behind Kira and doing everything she can for light in Kira. And what this does is it shows what I would like to say in this moment is the flesh moving in this moment. That willingness to go with your desires, that willingness to concede to that, and even more so, she's making her life choice for who she wants to be partnered up with. And again, this is stemming from an aspect of the Bible where it says you can only serve one master. You either choose one or the other. And in this moment, it's almost like she's making a decision. Regardless of the memories being lost, this is her innermost decision. This is the movement of the flesh without that otherwise spiritual movement to take its place or to remove that corruption from being in place, because now she's all in for Kira. Now, we also see that showing with Light. Light is warring within himself. And I want to liken that to what takes place with Cain in the Bible, but I want to just say that for a brief moment. So what happens with Light is Light's witnessing all this, yet still doing research on what Kira was doing in the past and all the moves Kira was making in the past to try and connect them to Yotsuba. And in doing that research, he's like, Kira is bad for what he's doing, but what I'm seeing that he did are moves that I myself would actually make if I were to actually be Kira. And he's self-identifying that I could see myself making these evil moves. So this is speaking to, with him having lost his memories and kind of going back to that innocent thought process of, Kira being the criminal, we need to do the right thing. It wasn't that he wasn't able to become this evil. That's one of the conversations that people have is, I'm not capable of doing these evil things. But at the same time, when you look at if you were in that position, how evil are you really? What darkness can you bring out of yourself if you're put in that position? Even more so, if you're given the power and authority, would you do the right thing? Would you do the wrong thing? If you are not going to choose Christ, would you be really capable of controlling yourself? That's the hard truth. When you choose not to follow Christ, would you be more capable of maintaining yourself and being true to not the I'm only human, so I'm going to make mistakes, but from the standpoint of I'm a human that was designed with a greater purpose than that which I'm seeing myself do, or even the worst things that I'm capable of. And it's hard to see that in some cases. And I think that's one of the things that Light is struggling with now in this moment is getting that revelation. Man, I am actually capable of this evil. But to end this video off, I want to end it with Remy tells Misa, once we go back to this interview, the person I'm standing behind is the guy that has the book. And then so she's finally standing behind who has the book. All right, guys, that's all that I have for you. And what we're going to do in the start of our next video, and we're going to leave it actually at that with that video. It's going to be really short. We're going to be identifying the groups, the members of Yotsuba. And even more so, we're going to be pointing out the personality differences between each member. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a blessed evening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as check out my latest video. Thank you guys, and y'all have a blessed evening.